TalesFromYourServer, episode 38. Sometimes being honest with guests pays off. There were these awful people who were regulars at the first restaurant I ever served at. They wanted everything modified, ran my ass off, because they could never quite manage to get their shit together when I'd ask if they needed anything else, were generally rude, and often made nasty personal remarks about me, and always tipped 5% or less. I hated them, but I couldn't avoid dealing with them. And I was new, so I did make mistakes. I wasn't always efficient. I blamed myself for their attitudes, and resolved to get better each time I saw them. So I learned how to do everything they wanted exactly the way they wanted it. I learned their custom orders, kept their endless Diet Coke refills coming, knew to place a huge stack of extra napkins on the table, so they wouldn't have to ask, and made sure they never lacked anything. Eventually they were unable to find fault in my service, so they weren't quite as nasty to me. But they still never tipped more than 5%. They always came in during the afternoons, when I was on the floor alone, so often they'd be one of 7 to 10 tables I was serving. Once I was sure that no matter what I did I wasn't going to make real money off them, I stopped caring. I still did everything right. I still gave them everything they wanted in a timely and faultless manner, but I stopped trying to impress them. I stopped taking time to banter and ask about their lives. I was all business. Eventually, they noticed and asked me why I wasn't as friendly as I used to be. I was young and arrogant, and was fairly confident that my boss wouldn't fire me for it, since they were the ones asking why I wasn't so friendly anymore, so I told them the truth. I gestured to all the other tables, and told them that all those other folks were getting my best effort, because they paid me for it. The 5% tips were fine when I was just starting out, but I wasn't green anymore. I wasn't screwing up orders, or letting their drinks run dry. They never had to ask for anything, because I anticipated every little need. But no matter how good the service I gave was, they were still giving me 5%, and if you're gonna give me a 5% tip, then I'm gonna give you 5% service, so I can spend more time and effort on people who pay me for it. Y'all, you could actually see the light bulbs going on in their heads. These folks had never put together the fact that they were assholes to their servers with why they got bad service. They had also never thought about the fact that servers can make choices on who to give a fuck about. I don't remember how the rest of the conversation went, but I do remember getting a huge pile of money from them that day and 15-20% every time I served them after that. Keep the dream alive, kids. People can change. Add extra veggies and sauces, but don't charge me. There's this one lady who comes to the Thai restaurant that I've been working at who likes to order a Thai basil fried rice. Every time she comes she asks for extra veggies, green beans, bell peppers, basil, and onion, and tells me they never charge me for extra, when usually we charge an extra $1 or $2 depending on how much extra. I told her I don't know who they are, but I'm supposed to charge you, or I would be in trouble. She got upset and keeps demanding that I don't charge her, so since she didn't want to pay the extra charges I just didn't include the extra veggies in her order. After her order was ready she asked for 5 to-go sauce containers, so she can take some of our spicy chili sauce to go. We give one free, but charge $0.50 for extra. Again she refused to pay. I was really annoyed by this time, so I let it slide, plus she didn't bother to check her food for the extra veggies lol. The following week she comes back and ordered the same thing, but this time she says and make sure you add my extra veggies, because last time I didn't get it. I told her I didn't add the extra veggies because she refused to pay the extra charges, but since I was feeling kind that day, I will only charge her $1 instead of $2 for the extra veggies. No. They never charge me for extra veggies. I go and get the owner/manager and she calmly explained to her that this is a family owned restaurant and we buy all produces and ingredients from our own pocket, and that we always charge for extra add-ons. Lady just kept repeating back quote, they never charge me for extra. By this time I can tell my boss was getting annoyed because she just told her back quote, this time only, I will charge you $0.50. But next time from here on out, you will have to pay the extra charges. The lady was satisfied with that offer, but we still have her less back quote extra veggie and her 5 extra sauces. We just wanted her to leave. She still comes every once in a blue moon and still demands the extra veggies and sauce without charge. SMH. Thought y'all would appreciate this. I bought a $200 gift card online, but disputed the transaction with my credit card company. Can my mom still use the gift card? I host for extra hours during the day at a fine dining restaurant in the center of my nearest city. That means a lot of phone answering, resus, rescheduling and handling complaints / questions etc. along with cleanups, open table plotting etc, and amp #X200B. Last Tuesday I got this call. Me, good afternoon and thank you for calling XXXXX. In XXX, how may I help you? And amp #X200B. I bought a $200 gift card online and disputed the transaction with my credit card company. Can my mom still use the card? She is coming in on Saturday for her birthday. Me, I think that would be fraud, although let me get my general manager just to be sure. And amp #X200B. Go, tell the GM. His response is pure, you have to be joking, looking at me in disbelief. He takes the call, I go back to answering calls, and whatever and amp #X200B. An hour or so later I asked what happened. He explained that he took her name first, she readily gave it to him, took her details, and told her that, if she disputed the transaction, that purchased the gift card, the system would deactivate the gift card, and it could not be used and amp #X200B. End of story. You would think? Nope. Saturday night, waiting tables. One of the servers next to me on the computer goes, damn, this gift card isn't working. I'm doing my thing, and so it's something happening in passing. As the night ends the GM comes up to me, you know that phone call you took Tuesday? Well, she gave that card to her mom last week and her mom came in with her husband to use it and could not afford their dinner. I specifically asked her if she, the person she got the card from, had the last name of CCCCC. It was her. Her own daughter bought the card, gifted it, got short on cash, and disputed it without telling the mom. And amp #X200B. What did you do? And amp #X200B. Told her they had to use another form of payment. Whoops. The restaurant where I work is right around the corner from the grounds, where a huge music festival took place over the weekend, and every night when the festival shut down at 11, every table has been filled until we closed down for the night. Lots of new age traveler, Burning Man raver types. That time of night I'm the only server left, so I was somewhere between speed walking and galloping around trying to take care of everyone. Had a 4-top order, 2 appetizers to split, all really chill, generally sweet kids. Come bill time they pull their cash and I tell them I'll be right back with change, $19 on a 17 something bill. Drop it back by the table and thank them, and in the din of other diners and the thumping music, I think I hear one of them say there shouldn't be any change, to which I reply something to the effect of, oh, it's only $1 and some change. I thought she meant she had paid with exact change, and that I had miscounted. Turns out she said we don't need change or something to that effect, which I immediately realized, and turned beet red I'm sure. She kept saying she meant to tip me, wasn't trying to stiff me etc. The youngest kid in the group shoves another single into the cover book as I stammer about how I'm sorry, and that's great, I misheard her, but by now it just looks like I openly bitched at them about not tipping me enough. I'm so brain dead by this time of night that all I could think to say was, oh man, sorry, I misunderstood you. Oh, I'm so uncomfortable, sorry, oh man, how awkward, which they rightfully found pretty charmless. I made great money all weekend. I might usually find $1 and some change to be an insulting tip, but I wasn't tripping about it that night, especially coming from some sun-baked ravers who had probably been on mushrooms all day. I went back a few minutes later and tried to explain again that I had just misheard them and wasn't trying to scold them about my tip, but I was obviously not helping the situation. Probably one of the most awkward experiences I've had serving. Whoops. $8,200 tip and my boss is an narcissist. I work at a fairly nice restaurant that would be considered higher end in the area that I live in, and our busy season is the end of October until right before Christmas. A typical shift leaves a server with around $200 in tips. A few Fridays ago was the first event of the season. We hosted an event for a wealthy company. We have hosted the event for a few years now, and it has been the same few servers every time. Last year the host left us a $3,000 tip and was excited to know we would be taking care of them again this year. They were in the restaurant from 5 p.m. until 2 a.m., so we spent a lot of time chatting with our guests and catching up with the hosts, who we have been getting to know over the past few years. At the end of the night, the owner of the company decides to leave our $8,200 tip. Fucking incredible, I know. He makes sure to let us know that he will be returning next year and is hoping we will be there again because he wants to hear about what we each do with the money. He is a very wealthy businessman, very kind, not at all creepy, whether it pays our tuition or pays to take a trip or to buy ourselves something. Of course, at the end of the night we tipped out a little extra to everybody who helped us out, such as the bartender, support staff, expos, and kitchen. The next day our boss comes into work and proceeds to inform each and every one of us that the money belongs to the restaurant and we don't deserve it at all because we didn't even work that hard. This event was 60 people, 4-course dinner and drinks from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. on an open tab with only 4 servers. Also, our kitchen is on a different floor, so we have to take each plate down 2 flights of stairs, and that we will never see money like that again in our serving careers, so we are each allotted to take $1,050. There's 4 of us, and the remainder gets split. And then he gets a chunk, because he will be helping us all season, and not seeing a penny, and he needs new golf clubs. If we argue we will be taken off the table next year. I find this incredible, because the person who tipped us the money made it clear he knew what he was doing, and that he specifically wanted us to do something memorable with it, because he started in the service industry, and is now a millionaire, and told us of a story, where he always remembers a woman who would come in once a year and tip him a $50 bill, which inspired him to make somebody's year. And he thinks we are excellent and all have bright futures, that he wants to make a difference in. Basically, I want to know if people agree, if this is fair, that he is able to take that much of our tip. He was there that evening, yes, but he did not serve the table. He was managing the remainder of the restaurant that had regular Friday night seating. I think that as a manager he should be happy for us, and also happy that we were able to bring in that much for the restaurant. T was our record highest bill. TL, Doctor, we worked an event and the host loved us 4 servers, so he tipped us $8,200 and specifically told each of us 4 to do something substantial with the money. Our boss is only letting us take $1,050 because that's all we deserve, and it's the restaurant's money, and he wants new golf clubs, and if we argue we don't get to serve the table next year, being open on Thanksgiving, and maybe Christmas, too. Do you want these people to go home? I no longer work in food service, but I just have to ask this question, because it's something that really bothers me. So Thanksgiving is coming up in the US. A few years ago, my parents and my sister and her family all decided that for Thanksgiving that year, we'd all go eat at Cracker Barrel. I didn't verbally protest, but I was against the idea. To me, it was horribly embarrassing to be one of those people who takes the lazy way out for Thanksgiving, to go to a restaurant and have someone else do all the work. What are your feelings on it as a server these days? I know some folks might see it as a way to make a lot of extra tips, but maybe some are having to work when they really don't want to. Would you rather see all these people go home and make their own mess and clean it up? On an expanded note, I didn't enjoy myself at all. It was horribly crowded. The little store in front of the restaurant was so crowded that you couldn't just walk in. You had to walk in and stand there and wait for 2 people to exhale, then squeeze through them to go find a 3x3 space where you could stand without rubbing shoulders with someone else. The next time my family says they are going to a restaurant for a holiday meal, I'm going to call in sick, stay home, and eat tacos. My name is not Hirohito. I work at a sushi restaurant in the center of Oslo, and it's surrounded by bars and other restaurants. It's basically inside a food court. A middle-aged man sits down to eat, and I notice how red he already was, his words slurry, and can barely manage to balance himself on a chair. After a few dishes he calls me, so he can pay. Arriving at his table he says to me, "I'll pay, don't hurt me." I say what? He replies, "I know who you are Japanese. I know you're part of the Emperor's Imperial Army." I then told him to calm down, and told him no one wants to do that to him. I then asked for his name. "My name isn't important, what's yours?" "My name rhymes with UFO," and I tell him. "What the fuck? Hirohito? You fucking Nazi." He then made this fighting stance, absolutely ready to bash the fucking fascism out of me. "Hirohito. Fuck you, Japanese Emperor." He shouted loudly and everyone turned their heads towards us. I managed to make him relax, and he did. After paying I told him, "Don't worry, I don't like him too." He says he is relieved. I don't know what's a Norwegian beer that makes people remember the Second World War. TLDR, I work in a Japanese sushi bar. Drunk guy thinks my name is Hirohito and freaks out. He hates Nazism, and I think that's great. Just make up your mind. Let me add some background. I work in a chain restaurant in the UK. Weekends are fully booked, weekdays are busy. Family of 5 comes in, seating them right away, explaining offers etc etc. Everyone is fine except for the mom, who wants to try the house red. Apparently it's awful, I offer a different one. And then another one. And then another one. Our wine list is not that wide, but 99% of the guests are happy with it. She isn't. She tries all the reds, all the rosé tasters. Nothing is satisfactory. Bear in mind they haven't ordered any food yet due to the mom. She will only have a meal if the drinks are okay. Sure, let's throw some ideas around. After 15 minutes of excruciating brainstorming she decides to go for a coffee. I'm at a loss of word. At the end they tipped me 15%. Around here that's exceptional. Really confused about the whole thing. Anyone with similar experiences? Older man asking weird personal questions. Let me start off by saying that I serve and cook at the same place and that due to a lack of cooks I don't get to go to front of house very often. On Saturday night I volunteered to serve because we were short servers and I wasn't already scheduled in the kitchen. It was going well. I had a few minor mistakes due to not serving for over 2 months, but nothing major. Then an older man sat in my section alone. No biggie, I go to greet him. Nothing weird until he finishes his entree and I ask if he's thinking about dessert. Then he starts asking me when my days off are, what I like to do in my free time, if I have a lot of friends, where I'm from, how old I am, if I like to go out, on and on. The first few I humored him and answered quickly that I don't really get days off because I'm also a full-time student. Then I started hedging around my answers. Thankfully he dropped it after I had to walk away a few times to take care of my other tables. It was overall very creepy. Do you share a $1,000 tip? Many of us see the headlines about waiters getting these huge tips from nice customers, but do they get all of it? At the end of the day, is it taxed, and do they share that tip with other workers like the cooks and others? For those who have experienced this, please tell me about your experience, or for those who have seen it happen, left bill with gift card, is the remaining amount mine left to spend? So I served a young couple, their bill was like $35 anyways. When I did drop the bill and then come back to get the payment to process they were gone, and with the bill was a gift card which I used to pay their bill. Anyways, it turns out that the gift card has around $60 on it left, even after processing the bill. Is it mine to spend? To clarify, when I dropped the bill they left the card. I did not get the card and then process it and then give it back to them and then they left. I have finally figured out how to pinpoint a horrible customer and a good one. After years of serving, tonight was the night I finally figured it out. Their eyes. Tonight, my theory confirmed everything. I had an old hag of a customer complaining about how spicy a food item is. Funny thing, as she was complaining, her friend across from her said out loud, "No it isn't." Anyways. Their eyes. You can just tell how miserable these fucks are sometimes. The intense glare, you feel how needy they are, how they have absolutely nothing going on their life, or how utterly unhappy they are, and ready to complain. The eyebrows help as well. Angry, instantly noticeable. You feel it, you see it, you can just tell by the cadence of their voice. This old bitch had it all. And it makes it that much obvious if they are out with another couple and the couples look at each other every single damn time the complainer opens their mouth. You feel how hard it is they are trying their best to withhold themselves from saying what they truly feel about the said person. To the old hag. I do believe in karma. I hate you. I hate serving. I lost all faith in human beings while serving, and when I do get out of the industry, I'm going to take all future business meetings to a restaurant and see how they treat servers. I need advice on changing jobs. Hello fellow servers and food workers alike. I'm moving in a few months and the restaurant I work at is awful. The business and tips don't make up for it at all. I've been horribly burnt out from serving and fantasizing about getting out of it. In fact, if I haven't deleted it, I have a legal advice post that outlines the situation well. Here's where I need some input from others who've gone through this. If I hypothetically went to a busier restaurant, ideally with better management, would that help to solve my burnout? I know crappy customers are everywhere. I happen to work in a very rich town in a not upscale restaurant, where the customer entitlement is just about every single table. They're demanding and berating. For every nice table I have on a busy night, I have 6 to 10 tables that come in and make our night hell. Does a change of scenery help? Thank you if you took the time to read this. Hey table that tipped me under 10%. Yes, we have always charged you for extra salad dressing. I have served you before. I rang your order the same way I did today. I know it wasn't the food, because I kept checking back, and you said it was wonderful. We weren't busy, so I know it wasn't the service. And I was extra nice, because I liked you a lot, until you tipped me so low. Don't tip me poorly, just because you have a bad memory. Need advice about quitting my job. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown in why I want to quit my current serving job. I transferred to this particular restaurant, it's a chain, when I had to move to the area. Right off the bat it was a shit show. I was hardly trained, which wasn't a big deal except for the fact that I was getting in trouble for stuff not getting done, but I was never told that it even needed done in the first place. The managers hate each other, talk shit about one another, and never let each other know what's going, who they schedule, or who they tell to come in. I would be scheduled to work, only to be sent right back out, because the managers never told each other who was coming in, and had way too many people. I was even injured on the job due to a mistake someone made, and the manager tried to convince me to not tell the emergency room where it happened, even though I was in my work uniform and the workers clearly knew where I was at. Fast forward to this past weekend and the kitchen was a mess, as it always is, and a customer walked out on a $40 bill after receiving incorrect food. I was unable to run the food when it was ready, so I had no control over it, and to top it off the food was cold. The manager tried to make me pay for it, and I flat out said no. I have had it with this place and I don't even want to work the rest of my schedule. However, despite everything I try really hard to not be a dick, but I'm not sure I even want to see them after I let them know I'm leaving. Would I be a complete asshole for leaving and not finishing out my scheduled shifts? Autograt. Rough night. Had 2 parties and a smaller table. Both of my parties just ran me ragged. Like every time I came back someone else suddenly needed something. One of my parties I had a feeling wasn't going to tip well, but I didn't want to add autograt because some people don't take kindly to it. Also it was a group of people that tends to get stereotypes about tipping, and I always fear of being accused of assuming. I just knew they would not tip well due to lack of friendliness/attitude and essentially wanting the kitchen to throw different menu items together to create what they wanted, which I obliged. It was just super frustrating after feeling like I went through all of the annoying shit to then be tipped less than 15% by every person. Like one person tipped $6 on $60. I'm just feeling burnt out by my job overall, but tonight was especially draining. I just don't understand why people think it's okay to go out to eat and treat their server poorly and then tip shitty on top of it. Like, thanks for ruining my evening. I just really hope I don't see them again. Sorry for the rant.